Hi everybody, today I have a short video about hypothesis tests for proportion. First thing we will want to do is come up with our test statistic. I'm going to call it Z0, but you can call it Z if you wanted to. It is equal to P prime minus P over the square root of P times 1 minus P over N. And then we will calculate the P value. So watch all these P's. So the P prime is our proportion for our sample, where P by itself is the proportion for the population. And then the P value is what we're really trying to figure out to determine if we reject or accept the null hypothesis. So lots of things to look at here. So we could have a two-tailed test where we look at the right and the left side. We could have a left-tailed test where we're only looking on the left. We could have a right-tailed test where we're only looking at the right, and I'll break that down through our example. So let's try this example. Over the past few decades, public health officials have examined the link between weight concerns and teen girls smoking. Researchers surveyed a group of 360 randomly selected teen girls living in Massachusetts between 12 and 15 years old. After 4 years, the girls were surveyed again. 103 said they smoked to stay thin. Is there good evidence that more than 37% of the teen girls smoked to stay thin? So let's put together what we know. Our P prime is going to be equal to 103 over 360. I'm going to call that 0.2861. My Z0, which is my test statistic, will be P prime 0.2861 minus, what are we trying to test? 37%, so I'm going to say 0.37 over, let's do the square root of 0.37 times 1 minus 0.37 over N, which was 360 girls. My Z0 comes out to negative 3.297. Now, if we were looking at this, we have to think about, well, what is our null hypothesis? What is our alternative hypothesis? So go back to the question, is there good evidence that more than 37% of teen girls smoke to stay thin? So we're looking at more than. Our alternative hypothesis is that P is greater than 37%, which means our null hypothesis is that P is less than or equal to 37%. So this is what we're trying to figure out. Because we don't have an alpha given, we are going to go at a 5%, so alpha will be 0.05. We got this negative 3.297, so I'm going to go to Desmos and look at my normal distribution. And for the cumulative, because this is right, this is greater than, we're going to put in greater than negative 3.297. Now, you shouldn't be surprised that you're going to get a really big number. We are way over on the left at negative 3.297, so most of the graph is shaded in here. Another thing we could do is, like always, I've written a program, so this is a hypothesis test for a population proportion. In here, I put the proportion for the population as 0.37. We had 360 in our sample. The number that had the attribute was 103, so 103 over 360, there's the 0.28611, which says that we have a Z of 3.2967, just like before. This gave us our Z as negative 3.2967, which we know we need to go down and find the right tail, which is 0.9995. Just like we said before, this is very likely for this to occur. So going back and looking at the choices that I had for this particular homework problem, we went through and said we have a very large P. With the very large P, we want to not reject the null hypothesis. We do not have sufficient evidence to conclude that more than 37% of teen girls smoke to stay thin. So that was a really quick example, but I hope it helps as you try to do these problems.